shoot this again. Somebody wasn't cooperating before. Hey everyone, this video I've been trying to get out and time again, it just hasn't really worked. So I'm trying again. This is how I organize a sewing room, and I think I'm gonna have to nurse Henry through this video to make it work. Alright, so I get a lot of questions on how I organize a sewing room, and I have organized many sewing rooms, so like way too many. I will insert some pictures. I've done way too many. And actually I've tried to do this video over and over again. I shot a version of it at my parents' rental house. It was like a bigger room for a sewing space. Then I have this, I moved everything back here. This is a tiny space for a sewing room, which I feel like so many people can relate to. So I started to edit it, and it was like I was gonna do multiple videos, and it was gonna be really confusing for me, so I could only imagine how confusing it would be for all of y'all. So I'm gonna show clips from those videos and compare and contrast, like a larger sewing room to a tiny sewing room, and kind of give you hopefully some ideas, inspiration, how to set up your own space. But I also have photos of both rooms on my website. I'm going to link as many products as I can. A lot of them will be affiliate links, and I thank you if you use them. And I have my notes, because also in those videos I was looking at them, I was going, you didn't say half of what you wanted to say, and that's honestly why I make a voiceover most of the time, or at least a large reason why I make a voiceover, so I don't forget things. So the process of making a sewing room, of setting up your sewing room, it's okay, we can talk and nurse, we really can. He doesn't like to talk and nurse, but we really can do it. Come on, work with me, hon, work with me. So the process for me is first I ask myself where I want my sewing machine. That is your first question, at least for me. This is how I do it. That's the first question, is where you want that sewing machine to be. For me, it's a couple of factors of I want it next to, at all possible, next to a window, because I want the natural light to come in, and if it's nice outside, to have a breeze, that sort of thing. I want it next to a window if at all possible. And also, if at all possible, I want my back not to be to that door, because I get scared. Like, I scare easy. And so if somebody comes in while I'm sewing it, and then like they're just standing behind me and I don't realize it, oh my goodness, I spook. And on that sewing machine, I like to do an L-shaped desk in most cases. Especially if you have like a smaller sewing space, in my opinion, that L-shaped desk is going to give you like the most surface area. It'll just make the most sense, okay? I have one linked below that I have been using for like the last year. Is that somebody? Sorry. For like the last, I think UPS just pulled up. I have one that I've been using for like the last year or so, and I do like it. It's definitely sturdy. It's got leveling feet, so you have that option. If your house is a little crooked, you can get her level. The only thing is that it's got like and it's well done, but it's a laminated, particle board top to it. Now it cleans off easy. Guys, remember, if you're new to my channel, I've got a 2-year-old and then a 3-month-old. The sucker cleans off easy, okay? So when I say that, that means, yeah, you know that cleans well. And it's sturdy. It hasn't shown any sort of wear and tear, but at the end of the day, it is a laminated particle board thing. So the legs of it are all metal, and they're super sturdy. Overall, I've been really happy with it. It might be a tad pricey for being laminated particle board, but that's what I got. Now, kind of in tandem with that, your second question is where you want your iron, because if you've sewn before, you know you iron just as much as you sew. So you want to be thinking of where you want to set up that iron. And I want it to be as close as I can to me, so it's convenient, obviously. And now in my small sewing space, I just move it back and forth, because it's what I have to work with, and I'm making it work. So once you have your sewing machine set where you want it, and your iron set, then you got a couple more things. You've got where you want to put your fabric stash and how you want to organize that. You've got your patterns, you've got your works in progresses, and you've got your cutting table, and whatever other little supplies, things like ribbon, lace, things like that. So my patterns, I keep in manila folders, and I absolutely love this method. What I've done is I've taken manila folders and tape up the sides of those with like packaging tape. You don't want to use Scotch tape. I learned it the hard way. It'll just tear down the sides. So use some packaging tape, and then I put the pattern on the outside of the folder, and then I put the like name on the little tab. And this has just like, it's so much easier to get into the middle of the folder. You can iron the sucker down, and it takes up a lot, you know, it's real thin, and you can actually get it into the middle of the folder. Whereas, I don't know about you, but I can't get the sucker, once it's out of that envelope and I've unfolded that pattern, I cannot get it back in that envelope. It's so difficult. Why do that to yourself? So, so I really like this method a lot. You can organize it however you like, obviously, you know, by style, by size, whatever. You do that. I was putting them into these bins until we found a, what are they called? Filing cabinets at a thrift store for 20 bucks. So that was a great find, and now I organize the fabrics into those and use the bins for other things. I will have everything linked, obviously not the filing cabinet from the thrift store because you can't do that. So then with my fabric stash, I have this kind of like smaller pieces in these white bins that I have been loving. I've had them for, I don't know, like coming up on a year, and I love them. They're great. I just fold them so I can see everything. That's the key with your fabric stash. Okay, here's this tricker, and I've learned this, is you want to be able to see all your fabric, because you don't want to just keep buying fabric and accumulating fabric. You actually want to use the fabric that you've bought, okay? So you can use a dress, like use what you have, you know, don't just go out and buy stuff is my method for life, my motto for life. But if you're using a dresser, be cautious that you don't just layer fabric on top of fabric on top of fabric, because then it's just a hot mess in a hurry. So I like these baskets for smaller things, and then I like these hanging, they're like hanging clothes. They're for like pants or something, but I like them for larger pieces of fabric, you know, 2, 3, 4 yards of fabric or more. I love those for that, and you can take off like one at a time and then put it back on. It's great. Now, something else for fabric that I really like is I've been doing, and I'm kicking myself for not doing this like 10 years ago, but better late than never. I have gotten like this little system of doing fabric swatches. As y'all know, I order from Farmers Fabrics. I've been ordering from them since 2009. I absolutely love them. I cannot say enough good things about their quality of fabric, and their customer service is incredible. But they're online, okay? I wish they were in my backyard, but they're not. The world is not perfect. So when you're looking at fabric online, you've got a couple of things. You can't feel it. You've got, I mean, color between the calibration, you know, on their camera, if they've edited it, the calibration of your screen. There's a lot that goes into a color. So the idea of having fabric swatches is just like, why didn't I do this 10 years ago? So I just take a little cut of fabric. I try to get the selvage edge in there because it just gives you some more information about that fabric. Sometimes I like to use the selvage edge like as the finished edge because it's pretty, so I just like leave it there as the hem. It's just another piece of information to have. So I cut it up with pinking shears, and I write whatever notes I want to write on it. I organize it by type of weave, and that's that. I love it. Now, fabric scraps, what I've been doing, and I have a blog post about this that I will link down below if you want to read it, is I've been making that into a scrap quilt. And that's all I'm going to say about that. You can read more about on the post. Thread, I organized on a thread organizer on the wall. That's pretty self-explanatory. And I try to get as many things up on that wall as I can because I'm in a small space, and that is your friend, especially in a small space. So then you've got things like ribbon, trim, lace. These, and I love the concept of this. I'm not thrilled with the material that I found so far. So what I've been doing is I've been taking balsa wood that's already cut to the width that I want, and then I just cut it to whatever length on the miter saw, chop saw, whatever. Now I'm not thrilled with the balsa wood. It's a little on the flimsy side. I mean, it's not so delicate that it's just going to fall apart. You know, it's got a little bit of sturdiness to it, but that's about it. You know, I wish it was, you know, down the road. We do have a sawmill, so down the road, I would love it to be out of something, at least, if not like a lovely cherry or walnut or, you know, whatever. But it's working for now, and it's rather cheap. It's like around 33 cents or so a piece. So I still have plenty of ribbon to go through, but the project has been started, and I really like it. And one of the things I really like about this concept of wrapping them on balsa wood or whatever wood you have is that you can take them to your machine. Some organizers I've seen are like, they mount to the wall, or they're like a whole thing of ribbon or whatever. You can't take that to your machine and just use the little bit that you need, you know, which is kind of wasteful. Okay, and then I have this organizer for my works in progress. And so basically what happens is that I get, when I, you know, the fabric arrives from Farmhouse in the mail, I will get it and I will put it into the slots according to, you know, I will put it with its trim, lace, whatever embellishments I'm using. I'll put all the fabric, all the trims, whatever, into each slot, the pattern into each slot, and just keep it organized like that. I will take it all to my machine, work on it when my limited sewing time is up. I will put it back into that organizer. And I've been loving this organizer. I will say though that the top and bottom are a laminated particle board, because that's the world we live in these days. And for a laminated particle board, I think it was $75 when I bought it. It's a tad expensive, but it's, I know, it's a tad expensive. But it's been working out really well, and it's been making my life easy, so there's a price to that. And then when the projects get like to the point where they only need hand sewing done, is I hang them up, and they hang over the, we actually have a crib in this closet, and they hang over the crib as if they were like a mobile or something. At any rate, then I have some odds and ends into some acrylic containers. I really like these things. The only thing I will say is that they're from the same brand, but they don't click together, and you think that they would have thought of that. Like if you stack them, you can stack them, but like they don't click in place, which is a little like, really? But I really like them. They're clear, they're sturdy, and they're a great way to store little odds and ends, because you're going to lose those little things, you know, like little tiny buttons and beads and whatever, or forget you have them. So the last thing you gotta think of where it's going to go is your cutting table. This for me is the last thing, because it's kind of like, what do I have left of space to offer? Because if you're short on space, your cutting table can always be the floor, which mine currently is the floor most of the time, or if your knees don't allow that, it can be your dining room table, or whatever table you have at your hand. Sometimes I do cut like smaller things on my L-shaped desk, that part of the L that I'm not using. You could put a serger there instead, but I use it as a cutting table sometimes. I also use my iron as a cutting table sometimes. That for me is just kind of like the last thing, just fit it in where it makes sense for your space. But that's kind of it. Oh, one product that I do want to mention is my power station. It is amazing, okay? Because you can load it up with whatever lights in your machine, and if you've got a diffuser, if you've got a computer, like whatever, you load the sucker up, and with 3 clicks, all those things can just be on. So you leave them in the on position, and you just click it on, click it off. The only thing I will say about it is that it's only rated for like, I don't know, 12, 13 amps or something like that. So you cannot plug your iron into that, because I don't know about you, but my iron is like 18 watts, which is somewhere around 15 amps, if I did that math right. 120, whatever. You can't plug your iron into it. You'll burn it up. And that's about it. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer them. And as always, guys, I appreciate y'all for watching, and I hope to catch y'all next time. There's UPS. I'm just sitting in my living room talking to the camera. This is why I have curtains. Anyone else just like pretend they're not here when the UPS guy shows up?